AWS Incident Simulator, Episode 3. Lambda task timed out. Cross-account IAM AssumeRole denied. Not a network issue. Let's get into it. Alright team, we've got an interesting one here. Our order processing Lambda is timing out, and the SQS DLQ has been filling up for the last 20 minutes. About 3,000 messages are stuck. Now, the first thing most engineers think when they hear Lambda timeout is network issue, right? VPC, NAT gateway, security groups. And that's a reasonable assumption. But today, we're going to discover it's something completely different. Let's start by looking at what CloudWatch is telling us. Okay, this is great. We already have a strong clue. The logs show two things: tasks timing out at exactly 30 seconds, which is the Lambda max timeout, and there's an access denied exception on an AssumeRole call. Now here's why the timeout happens. When the AssumeRole call fails, the Lambda's retry logic keeps retrying until the 30-second limit hits, and then it times out. The timeout is a symptom. The AssumeRole denial is the actual cause. But let's be thorough. Let's first confirm the network path is healthy, because if VPC or NAT were broken, we'd see different errors. Perfect. Network is fine. The VPC YNI attached in under a second, no connection timeouts, no NAT issues. This is purely an IAM problem. The Lambda function in account A is trying to assume a role in account B to call the payment API, and that AssumeRole call is being denied. Now, for CrossAccountAssumePolicy to work, you need two things to be true simultaneously. The caller's IAM policy must allow STS, AssumeRole on the target role ARN, and the target role's trust policy must allow the caller to assume it. If either one says no, you get access denied. Let's check the Lambda execution role first. Good. There is a policy called CrossAccountAssumePolicy attached. That's the one that should grant permission to call STS, AssumeRole on the account B role. But just because the policy exists doesn't mean it's pointing to the right resource. Let me pull the actual policy document and check the resource ARN it's allowing. So the caller side is fine. Account A's Lambda role has permission to call AssumeRole on the correct ARN in account B. That means the problem is on the receiving end, the trust policy of the target role in account B. The trust policy is what determines who is allowed to assume that role. If account A's principal isn't listed there, the call gets denied even if account A's own policy says it's allowed. Think of it like this. You can have a key, but if the lock doesn't recognize your key, you still can't get in. Let's check account B's trust policy. And there it is. The trust policy in account B still references OLD Lambda role, but our Lambda function runs as Lambda exec role. The role was renamed during a Terraform refactor last week, and whoever did the refactor updated account A's resources but forgot to update the trust policy in account B. This is one of the most common cross-account IAM mistakes, and it's easy to miss because the rename works perfectly within the same account. It only breaks when crossing the account boundary. Now notice there's also an external ID condition. We'll need to include that in our fix too. Let's verify when this rename happened using CloudTrail. The full timeline is clear now. The role was renamed on July 31st, but the Lambda kept working because existing executions had cached credentials from the old role. Today, when the Lambda was redeployed, maybe a code update or a scaling event forced new cold starts. All new invocations picked up the new role name, which the account B trust policy doesn't recognize. Mystery solved. Let's fix it. Alright, let's fix this. We need to update the trust policy in account B to reference the new role name, Lambda exec role. And here's a pro tip. During any role rename or migration, Always include both the old and new principal in the trust policy for a transition period. That way, even if some services still reference the old name, they keep working while you complete the migration. I'll update the trust policy now. Trust policy is updated. IAM changes propagate globally within a few seconds. No restart needed. Let's test the AssumeRole call directly from the Lambda execution role to confirm it works now before we let the queue start processing again. Beautiful. The AssumeRole call works directly. Now let's invoke the actual Lambda function to confirm the full flow works end-to-end. SQS trigger, Lambda execution, AssumeRole to account B, payment API call, and response back. I'll invoke it manually with a test payload first. Lambda is working perfectly now, 1.2 seconds execution time instead of timing out at 30. The payment API call goes through successfully. Now let's check if the SQS dead letter queue is draining. Those 3,000 stuck messages should start reprocessing. And let's confirm the CloudWatch error metric has dropped to 0. Incident resolved. Lambda task timed out. Fixed in production. Subscribe for weekly AWS troubleshooting. See you next time.